Welcome everyone, this is going to be a real quick tutorial on how to get more out of your LIDAR data. Now, especially when it comes to metal detecting, and hopefully that'll lead to you finding more amazing things. Now, when I look around the forums and the various Facebook groups, most people at some point, you probably would have come across this yourself, will mention about the National Library for Scotland side-by-side maps, and they are brilliant. I'm going to get that out there. They're brilliant because there's nowhere else where you can refer old maps next to a LiDAR data set. And that by itself is really, really handy. But let's say you have a permission, and on that permission, you want to sort of get the most out of it to give yourself the best chance of finding something. So I've loaded up somewhere in Hampshire. This is Danebury Ring. If you look up Danebury Ring, you will find this place. And here we've got the side-by-side with a LiDAR data set. Now I've looked for all of them, 2017, 2020. The LiDAR data set I'm going to be working with elsewhere will be the 2019-20 data set. But I would argue it actually looks worse than the 2017 set. So to give the NLS side-by-side a little bit of a leg up, I'm going to pop that there. And you can clearly make out the ring. You can see field boundaries, old or current trackways, and that there's definitely some things going on under the surface you can kind of make out there. An alternative to NLS, straight off the bat, is Archi UK. And at the end of last year, they released their own LiDAR data set. And the way they've lit the LiDAR in the data set means that more features are obvious. So if we have a look, I'd argue, and again, this is, I believe, of the same data set, I would argue that you can see much clearer. I don't know why they've got the weird green layer. I would prefer it personally as a black and white. But you can see much clearer the old sort of field boundaries and structure and things going on underneath the ground. But there's a better way, in my opinion. And I guess the way to think of it is like this. Say you've got an apple and you put it on a table. That apple's going to look different all the way around if you walk around the apple. But take a photo of the apple and it'll always look as it does in the photo. And that's essentially what we get online. Online, we get a snapshot. It's a tile of the LiDAR data, and it isn't directly editable. But LiDAR is an organic data set. You can change, you can manipulate the data to get the most out of it. So I would always recommend, because of that, using an offline viewer, because you might find by changing the lighting you reveal something completely new you didn't see before. And up until now it's been quite difficult getting what I would call an easy to use viewer. You've got QGIS, which is free, and it's absolutely amazing. However, I do not have the time and the patience to fully go through, learn and understand the software. It's a hell of a learning curve to get yourself ahead, especially if you're a hobbyist detector like myself, and you want to find out more. I've also used Global Mapper, and Global Mapper is amazing. It would be my go-to if it weren't for the $600 price tag, so it's quite hefty to get going. But recently I came across a new kind of viewer which is available, and it's completely free. I'll pop a link in the description, and that's called CARIS Easy View. And there's elements of it that carry over that are quite similar to Global Mapper in a way. But what we'll do, we'll go through it. And basically, once you've downloaded it from the link, installed it all, you'll get something that looks like this when you load it up. So how do we get data into here? Well, the Environment Agency in the UK, it may be different around the world. Where you are, you might be able to get different kinds of LiDAR data set. But for us here in the UK, we have the Environment Agency, and they release their LiDAR data. So just visit this link here. Again, I'll pop that one in the description for you. And I'm going to just type in Danebury Ring. Danebury will do at the top. If I zoom out, we'll find the ring. There it is. Oh, it's Danebury Hill. It's a hill fort. All you need to do is draw a little circle around it like that. Anywhere within the tile, if I zoom out, within that wider square, and it will just download that whole square's worth of data. Then we'll tap Get Available Tiles. It does take a couple of moments, but once it loads up, I'm going to use the composite dataset for this purpose. But you can have a look and go through the different kinds of datasets. You'll notice the names. You've got DSM and DTM. I can't remember for the life of me what DSM stands for off the top of my head, but the DTM is the digital terrain map. So that is just concerned with the terrain. It doesn't map sort of buildings, it doesn't map houses or anything like that as they exist. It's literally looking at the ground level, and that's why I like to use that. So in this instance, I'll be grabbing the composite DTM 2020, and I'm going to see if there's a better resolution, which there is, which is the 1 meter. And then you would just tap that and it will start downloading it. But to save us some time, I've already downloaded that data set. And so once you've got it downloaded, load up CARIS, and what we're going to do is go to File, Open, File, and we're just going to find, first of all, we'll find where I popped it. So this is how that dataset will look once you've opened it and extracted those files. You're just going to select the large file, which is the DTM 1 meter. You'll see if I hover over it's 42 megabytes. The other one is just an XML file, which is 5 kilobytes. So we're just going to open up this one, and it will take a few seconds, but you will get an image eventually load up like that, which is probably a bit confusing to start off. But to clear it up, first of all, rainbow maps are pretty handy, but when you're trying to understand something off the bat, it can be a bit much. So I'd probably change it over to topographic in this instance. We're going to zoom in a little bit first. Things are starting to come into view as to what we might be looking at. But there's 3 sort of main things that you need to concern yourself with changing over here after the colour of the map up there, and there's plenty to have a play with later on. But 3 main things to affect how the map looks is the vertical exaggeration, which is it's almost like whapping the contrast up to really make features show, but be careful not to go too crazy with it. Then you've got the light position, and then you've got the elevation of that light. So for this instance, I'm going to go for, let's say, 9. And we'll just see how that looks to start off. Just click somewhere else. And bam, straight away, you can see a lot of the features going on. What I forgot to mention earlier is when you load this map initially up, if you can't see the properties panel on the right hand side, just click this layer once and it will show up. What you might get is something that looks like that instead, but just click that top layer once and you'll get up this properties panel. So straight away I'd argue like that image, what I'm seeing here, the features underneath the surface, which you don't get if we just refer back a second. You can't see any of that in the side-by-side really. And the Archi, there's a couple of elements there, but I mean, it's so much clearer to me. And then once we carry on, we can then start playing with the light, the angles of the light, which can bring out new features and help you find a lot more on your permissions, or if you're going to a group dig or something like that and want to target a specific area. And like I say, we'll just drop that elevation. You see it starts darkening up, and that will show some of the features a little bit more. What's more, there's a 3D element to this, which is really cool. If you tap the 3D button, it will go into a 3D view. Now, I got caught out by this. When it first does it, I thought it was just playing up. But once you click the 3D view, you need to click and select the layer again, and it will come up. It also resets everything over here, or some of the features, because instead of being controlled here, it's controlled up in the top right here. So this is your elevation. And so as we pan in, I should say the right click will let you change on the axis like this, and left click and hold will let you sort of zoom in, zoom out, and pan. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. You'll work it out after playing with it anyway. So here we are, and if I just start exaggerating the features, obviously it is a hill fort, but that's probably not too far off actually. You can start seeing these features. You can literally get in close to them, have a proper look at them. How do they look from down low? What would that have been? And you can push it even further if you want to, but that'll help you certainly find some of the features, but I would definitely drop it back a little bit from what it is. But it's a great way to explore the data and see maps and permissions that you have from a completely new view. So that's my quick video today. Just a quick introduction into CARIS. Download it, have a play, download a dataset, and let me know how you get on in the comments. Thanks for watching our short tips video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep you updated with any new quick tips for the XP Deus 2.